Why do I love Greece? Definitely the people. The people is what makes Greece beautiful, not the landscapes. I've traveled around the world, I've seen other places which in my opinion look prettier, but it wasn't the same. Still a very unique place that we keep to ourselves. Even though you have many islands where most tourists would know, we have a much broader culture, a very different way of life than the ones you see on the leaflets. It's a place where we relax and we come back to our roots. It's a place where we can taste our grandma's food, a place where we can taste fresh veggies, where we can spend endless hours by the beach that you see your loved ones every year. It's us who make the place what it is, you know?
Σημαίνει πολλά. Είναι η ζωή μου όλη. Εδώ έμαθα τα πάντα.
This island means everything to him. He's part of his childhood memories, where his family comes from, where he grew up, where he feels familiar with. He feels this island like it's his own mother. Like it took care of him and now he takes care of the island. It was a very different life where the keys would be left on the doors would be open, nobody would have fear of anything. It's a close community. Even with the internet, you still have a community but doesn't have a lot of foreign influence. So you grow as a whole entity.
Είχε σιτάρια, είχε κουκιά, είχε ροβίθια. Τρέχαμε παιδάκια με ποδήλατα. Τρώγαμε ροβίθια, τρώγαμε κουκιά μέσα από τα χωράφια. Κοιμόμασταν μέσα στα χωράφια. Φεύγαμε κανένα.
And for him it was part of where he lived free as a kid. Of course he had his own Playmobiles, his own toys, but the playground was out there. His life was out there, and that's something most kids don't have today. So he grew up with this land, and now it's part of him to give back. For me, it's a very unique place on Earth. It has a very special product, mastic, which you cannot find anywhere else. So people don't rely on tourism. They don't need to rely. They don't need the infrastructure, the hotels, the big flashy signs, you know, the bar streets. We don't have any of this. For us, we haven't corrupted life. He was driving his boat one time around November or December, and the waves were hitting the rocks up there, so when he saw the giant waves, he thought there must be a place up there where all the salt is accumulated. And since then, he's getting his whole salt of a year just from there. He says that this is something he enjoys during the summer. Not just the salt, it is the whole process of using his boat. It gives meaning to his life there. So this is his way of saying thank you to his friends. It is a simple gesture. He accumulates a lot of salt during the summer, and after that, he will dry it and put it in bags of ½ kilo or 1 kilo and spread it throughout his friends and family. This is a small gesture to say, thank you for being here in my life. Along the time, he decided to get his license for a boat, buy his own boat and his own engine. And since then, it's his own personal time where he can isolate, to have his me time, where he's gonna go to the beach, have no clock on when he's gonna come home, have no schedule for the day, and just make the most out of it. He loves a simple life. The life where he's going to get his grapes, his glass of ouzo, explore with his boat, get some fish from the ocean, grill it, just enjoy the simple life that the island can provide. We don't have this wall that you would have in other cultures, that you need to get to know someone before you get close to them. When you feel like this person is more than just a stranger, which comes from inside you, then you would treat him exactly like you would treat your best friend. It's also because it's a small country, and no matter the differences, political differences, football teams, the north and the south, regional differences, dialects, at the end of the day, all of the Greeks will stick together. So when I was living abroad, generally speaking, people would just help me because I come from Greece, because I come from their homeland, something they feel close to. So it's one bond that holds everybody together, and as an extension, it comes to friends and family. So if you're considered a friend, you will be included into this bubble. When you go to touristic islands, everybody's stressed out, or they expect you to pay the money you need to pay. If you don't come, the next person will come. But in these islands, they know that if you lose this customer, you're gonna lose him every single year, because the same people come every year.
Εγώ όμως το πρωί θα πήγαινα να πάρω ψωμί. Και ήρθαν οι ανθρώποι και τους το έδωσα με μεγάλη ευχαρίστηση.
She used to live in Athens for 11 years, and at some point she thought, I cannot do this anymore, I need to go back to the island. And that's what she mainly missed, the openness of the people. She says to treat guests like your own family. She says many times people pass by and she always would greet them as good morning, how are you? Without even having the purpose or the idea of luring them into the restaurant. It's just to ask them how they are, truly. They're very open-minded, and when they see you on the street, even if they don't know you, they're gonna call you in for coffee, for some drink, to get to know you better. Because they told everyone they knew in Chios about her and about her hospitality. And for her, that's the biggest jewel of how much we felt like home, these people.
Αλλά τώρα στην ηλικία που είμαι 3 ευτυχισμένη και βασίλισσα εδώ.
It says that people have lost their freedom, physical and mental, with the stress of the city.
Εγώ όμως είμαι ευτυχισμένη γιατί είμαι εκεί στο μέρος που αγαπάω, στον τόπο μου.
Feels like a queen here, even in the winter where everything is closed and money is lower because she only works in the weekends. But the sea is for her own, the mountain is for herself, and she says this is what people are missing, the true freedom of the mind. people give their whole heart into hospitality. You know, we had an ancient goddess, Estia, was her name. So she was the goddess of hospitality, of how to treat strangers. The gods would disguise as ordinary people, and they would go into people's houses in there. So you should always treat every guest like he's a god, because you never know when the god comes. People still have this identity built into their own personalities on our guests like family.
Δεν είμαστε τόσο τουριστικό νησί όσο είναι τα άλλα τα τουριστικά νησιά.
The Aegean Islands, especially in the north, have a very different feature. They're not massively touristic, like Mykonos and Santorini. So in islands like Chios, but we only gather 0.5% of total tourism, which is pretty much nothing. It was always an independent island. While other islands had to rely on tourism, they never had to. So when they see a tourist, they see them for who they are and be interested of where they come from, but don't see them as a wallet. People haven't been corrupted by money yet.
Ασχολείσαι με κάτι που είναι ζωντανό, όχι άψυχο. Άρα το προσέχεις, το αγαπάς.
Mastic Greece is a live organism. You see it growing with you. So you raise it from a baby to an adult and you grow with it. The more it grows, the more you grow, and you take care of them as your own children. It's more of a life lesson for him. It's a form of income to sustain his family, but at the same time a way to become one with those trees.
Δηλαδή δεν έχω φτάσει εδώ πάνω. Οι πληγές μου είναι μέχρι εδώ.
Και αυτό ταξίνεις μετά. Like you have a spoonful of honey and dripping. So yeah, that's the beauty of a tree. You have within after the external skin and the core of a tree, it's literally covered with mastic and it's trying to find its way out.
Είναι το ψηλό. Όσο ανεβαίνεις, βγαίνει και το ψηλό.
Επικρατήσει μια συγκεκριμένη ράτσα έναντι των άλλων.
Όχι, αυτό είναι. Υπήρχαν πάντα αυτά. Δεν έχει να κάνει. Και το ψάρι υπήρχε και ο σκήνος υπήρχε.
So at the beginning they started dripping from the skin, but because of its proximity from the ground, it accumulates the mastic into a big pie. But as you go up, it gets smaller and smaller, tear-like.
Like gum.
Αλλά αυτό το δουλεύεις? Όχι, τσίχλα είναι. Τι σαν τσίχλα?
Chicle.
Τσίχλα.
It is the gum.
Εντάξει. Αλλά μπορώ λίγο να τη... να
This is how they
καταλάβεις
collect
λίγο.
the pie, the pita, the pie.
Να, δεν συνάμε. Χαμηλά.
You always start from the bottom.
Χαμηλά. Εκεί που δεν κάναμε και μία πάνω. Και λίγο πάνω.
Οπότε αυτό το πας σταδιακά.
Μπράβο. Κάθε εβδομάδα.
Κατάλαβα.
Κάθε εβδομάδα.
At the beginning, you start doing cuts on the bottom of a tree to wake up the tree and start generating mastic. And gradually you come every week after, you start repeating the same cuts and a little bit further. So you never cut on the same place you cut before, because the wound is already healed, but you do it in between. And then you're gonna keep on cutting until you reach roughly this spot over here. And the small branches don't really generate a lot of mastics. You get a blade and you start cutting through these branches. So everything falls down. And while you're on the field, you get a metallic net and you start removing the big rocks and leaves from the mastic. And this is what you take and you put in the tank.
Βλέπεις τι γίνεται.
How it is now.
Βάλε χώμα, αυτό εδώ το χώμα και κάνει το χέρι σου έτσι και θα καθαρίσει. Θα τριφτείς καλά και θα φύγει. Εμένα δεν με πειράζει να το πατήσεις και εγώ το πατάω.
Ναι.
Απλώς να μην κάνεις χάλια τα παπούτσια σου και το σπίτι μέσα που θα μπει. Γι' αυτό σου το λέω. Λοιπόν, μπορεί να τα δει κάτω και πλάγια.
So you always
Τρέχει.
cut from the bottom and from the right and left side, because if you do from the top, it's just gonna cover the branch, but it will never fall down. So this mastic will go for a waste. It cannot be harvested.
Αλλά άμα το πάρεις και το κάνεις σιγά σιγά, θα καταλάβεις είναι κάτι πολύ εύκολο, σαν δουλειά και καλά να κερδίσεις, αλλά έχει άλλη κούραση.
As we said, if a storm comes, your whole harvest of a year is gone. And they would compensate about €1 for every tree. So if you have 1,000 trees, you could make €1,000, whereas you could generate about 15 to 20,000 euros, which could allow you to sustain your family. Everybody's coming together as a family to work on the fields and work as one unity for the income of a family. So it's something that it's tied up to your identity since you grow up. He says for him, it gives him a lot of happiness doing that. If you do it with love, it fills up your whole soul. It has different seasons and different things you do throughout the year, so it's not repetitive, it's not boring. Now he says for a few days they have to leave them up so they dry, have to scratch them, they have to harvest them, they have to go home and clean them, put them throughout machines to separate the dirt from the mastic, and one by one you clean it with a needle. Then you take it to the cooperation here, so we can check with the laser the purity of a mastic and then give you the right amount of money. They do a lot of exports, mainly in Japan, in Germany, and in the Middle East. This goes mainly for pharmaceuticals and other purposes. For example, in Egypt, even on the taxis you might smell it, even on the mosques you might smell it, even you might smell it on the housewife's kitchen, because they use it a lot in small recipes for sweets. Now you just experienced firsthand why climate change is hurting these people over here. Because this little wind, that was 30 seconds, swap away many grams of mastic. So if you consider for the whole region, it's kilos of mastic which just spreads away in the wind. How a harsh winter can really collapse the whole economy and the nature of the island. That's why preserving the environment is essential for us, because we might live in big cities and we might not see the effect of it, but at the end of the day, these people rely on their production to feed their families and survive.
Κάποια θα πιάσουν, κάποια δεν θα πιάσουν. Μετά όμως που πιάναν όλα, δεν θέλουν να
Just
τα
make it for the new generation, because now these will be babies. You will harvest them maybe for another 10-15 years, but your kids and your grandkids will be able to harvest them. So it's a continuous process. You get something from your grandparents, they left something for you, and then you leave something for the next generation.
Στο μάζεμα του μαστιχιού σκόπωνε τραγουδούσαν. Σε όμορφη ρότοντα και
μετά πια και ο διπλός. Αυτός πάλι ήταν μες στην πλατεία.
Ο διπλός γιατί ήτανε, για χορό,
Ο δετός.
πώς? Αυτό είναι το πιο όμορφο δώρο που είχα. Το ήθελα πολύ. Σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ για το πράγμα σας.
Γεια σας.